You're listening to the Cruise Tips TV Unplugged podcast. This week on the show, we're answering questions from our Instagram community. We love these Q&As and appreciate everybody submitting questions in advance. Welcome to Cruise Tips TV Unplugged. I'm your host, Sherry, and we invite you to join our cruise-loving family as we travel the world creating cruise videos and vlogs. In this podcast, we talk tips, tactics, and strategies to help you make every cruise your dream cruise.
That is true, but you know what would be cool?
What would be cool?
You know how sometimes when you're watching a program or something, they hook you coming up on today's program.
Right. Yeah.
I think you should hook people. Tell them what questions you're going to be answering.
Coming up on today's episode of the Cruise Tips TV Unplugged. I can't do it. Let's try it again.
No, go ahead.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
Coming up today on this episode of the Cruise Tips TV Unplugged podcast, what's the difference between the Norwegian Haven and the MSC Yacht Club? What do I really think about Norwegian Cruise Line versus Princess Cruise Line?
See, you can use your normal voice. You don't need to use
I was trying to go for like a Tom Brokaw thing.
No, you don't need to do that.
Okay, well, I'm done. Because I wasn't prepared. Look, if you're going to do like a stinger.
I should have done it.
Well, yeah, because you didn't. If you're going to do like a stinger, it should be succinct and planned out. And we all know that if I'm going to do that, I need like a little script.
No.
All right, there. You do the stinger. You do the stinger. Go ahead.
We don't plan.
You'll do this better than me. Go ahead, mister.
No, I'm not.
You're not going to do it?
No, I already did it.
I told you it was on the show.
Coming up on today's program. Right?
But you're not going to tell them what it's about.
We answer the question, what is the best cruise line ever?
Oh,
right?
gosh, yeah. Everybody would love for me to answer that question.
But see, there's no answer for that.
No, there is no answer.
So it depends on what you want.
Yeah.
It depends on how much it costs.
It does.
Depends on what food you like. I mean, there's just so many variables.
Yeah.
And that's why they all do so well.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody told me recently, they're like, I think I'm moving from Carnival to Princess. And I was like, I think that's a natural progression for some people to go from one cruise line to another because you're moving into another phase of life. It's not necessarily that there's anything wrong with a particular cruise line. It's that you've been there, done that, and now you're looking for something a little bit different because you're in a different phase of your life. Yeah, maybe you cruised at Carnival with your kids when they were growing up, and now you want to chill by the pool with fewer kids. So.
But it could be just like whatever you want at that moment too.
Sure.
I mean, sometimes I feel like Carnival and sometimes I want Princess and sometimes Norwegian.
Right.
So
yeah.
The spice of life, baby.
You can't be faithful to any one cruise line.
Not cruise lines, no.
Nope.
So we're going to answer some questions.
We are. We're going to answer some questions. Boy, Schultz fam started me off with a hit right between the eyes with this one. Schultz fam said, now that you've sailed in the Norwegian Haven and the Yacht Club, can you provide a comparison of the two? And then they also want to know what location I prefer, forward on MSC or aft on NCL. Okay, Schultz fam, this is a lot of information, but I'm going to do my best. So I have to give you guys the disclaimer. I've done 2 Yacht Club sailings where I was in the Yacht Club for a full week, right? So I feel like I have a little bit more MSC Yacht Club experience than I do Norwegian Haven. Norwegian Haven, I only got 3 days. And so I don't know if this is apples to apples, but I'm going to try to do my best to kind of objectively bring out some categories here where I want to compare them. So first I want to start with the hardware, like the physical MSC Yacht Club complex, the lounge, the restaurant, the outside area, the pool, all of that compared to / versus Norwegian's Haven and which one I kind of prefer. All right. So the Yacht Club area on MSC, I really like the way they have everything laid out. On the ships that I've been on Euribia, and I think we were on Meraviglia, right? You have the downstairs lounge that has this beautiful bank of windows that looks off the front of the ship, I think the front of the ship. And then you have upstairs, you have the restaurant, which also has this beautiful bank of windows where you get to look outside. And then right down near all of that is the sun deck, which also has beautiful views and an outdoor dining area. Now, in the Haven, every Haven is a little bit different, but the Haven is sort of occupies the front of the ship, but it sort of branches off to the side a little bit more. So I feel like MSC Yacht Club gets a little bit of a leg up in terms of just design. I like the grandeur of the lounge and bar being on the bottom, the restaurant being on the top. Everything's kind of in one place. And I also love the way they have the staircase that goes through the yacht club so that the staterooms, the suites, are connected by a beautiful Swarovski staircase to the rest of the yacht club. When you're in the Haven, it feels a little disjointed, like you have to go in an elevator to get to your room. There's no staircase and nothing feels as connected. So I do like the layout of the MSC Yacht Club a little bit better. I also like the pool area, maybe a tad better in the Yacht Club, the little, like the pool hot tub area, although the infinity pool in the Haven on Norwegian Aqua is stunning, and that infinity pool is a showstopper. Some of the yacht clubs have indoor pools though, so it's all they're it's not really apples to apples with that either. But layout wise, I'm going to give a little bit of an edge to MSC for layout and just the positioning of the staterooms versus the positioning of staterooms in the Haven. You don't feel like you're in the complex; you feel like you have to take an elevator to it. But we got to talk about food because this is where I think the two are definitely not equal. In my opinion, the food in Norwegian's Haven is superior to the Yacht Club. I thought I loved the Yacht Club food until I tried the Haven, and it was like, wait a minute, this is next level food for any setting. This is like, just without being fussy and fancy, absolutely unbelievably delicious food. You can do surf and turf every night. And maybe it's just more that they're catering to the American taste buds, but I could do surf and turf. I could have lobster deviled eggs. The food was just, every single bite of every single thing that I had was absolutely outstanding. And I feel like they got it right in the Haven. Do I like the food in MSC Yacht Club? Yes, I do, but I don't believe that it's at that level. But there's one exception. I do prefer the way that MSC in the Yacht Club, they have outdoor dining that's really nice. So basically for breakfast and lunch, you can go out on this terrace. They have like a little buffet and they have full serve and buffet food out there. So you could like order a burger from the grill, but then you could also go up and get your own salad bar. Same with breakfast. They don't really have that in the Haven, at least on Aqua. The restaurant outside when I was on the ship was never open, but it probably is because of the weather, nothing to do with the fact that, that's the normal experience. So I would have preferred to have some of that outdoor dining when I was on Aqua. So this might be getting a little confusing. I guess another comparison thing is just basically the butler service, right? I will say I saw more of my butler on MSC than I did on Norwegian, although it was a 3-night cruise on Norwegian and I didn't need my butler for anything. They didn't need to walk me to the shows. I had already been on the ship for a week, but my butler was delightful on Norwegian Aqua. It's just that I think my butlers were more involved on MSC.
So I have a question for you.
Sure.
We had never been in the Haven.
Right.
And of course, some of us still haven't.
Rub it in. No, yes. It's true. And believe me, I wish you and Junior were there because it was outstanding.
But was it like what you expected, or did it surprise you in some way?
Yeah. It was, my suite was massive and way better than I expected. I didn't know that I was going to have buttons to open my curtains from the bed. I didn't know that everything would be controlled by a pad right by the bed. I had no idea how elaborate it was going to be. I was disappointed in both of the cruise lines for not having bathtubs in the suites. Very disappointed. If I had,
oh yeah, that's a sure way to get on your bad side.
I want to relax. If I'm in a suite, I want to be able to take a bath a couple times a week. There was only showers in both the Haven and the MSC Yacht Club, and that to me is just unacceptable. If you're paying big money for a suite, I'm sorry, but for me, that's one major, huge factor. But these cruise lines are moving away from it.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's unique to you, mm-hmm. or if our audience kind of feels the same way. Because
yeah, we should do a poll on that.
I think we should, because mm-hmm. I watch some of these like home improvement programs, and mm-hmm. on these home, they're like flipping
shows. Houses. Mm-hmm.
And they say that people prefer a big shower to a bath. And I'm thinking, what? Are you crazy? No way.
Right.
Give me both.
Give me both. You need both. Yeah.
Yeah. Give me a big shower with a bathtub in it. They seem to be moving away.
Yeah. I feel like I am a weirdo with the bath thing.
So yeah, do a poll.
Okay. I'm going to do a poll. So friends, when you're listening to this, go to facebook.com/CruiseTipsTV and answer my poll about, do you prefer a bathtub shower or both? I'll put that on my thing.
Well, maybe you shouldn't have both, because
You're right.
Who wouldn't want both?
Okay.
Just say bathtub or shower.
Okay, will do. You asked me though, is there anything that surprised me?
Yes, I did.
And I have more to say about that. I think this should have been probably its own show now that I've been talking about it for 8 minutes. But the food, I had no idea that the food in the Haven was going to be that good. So I was staying in there for 3 days. And of course I had access to the full ship. I could have gone to the outstanding restaurants on Norwegian Aqua. And let me tell you guys, the restaurants outside of the Haven are also absolutely top-notch excellent. Some of the best food I've had on a mainstream cruise line. But believe me, when I got a taste of that first meal in the Haven, I did not want to leave. And I pushed back against, if I was like asked to dine, I was like, actually, no, I don't want to come. I don't want to see you. I just want to eat in the Haven. I would actually pass up a social opportunity because the food was that good. And I went by myself to a few meals because I was like, I just don't care. It's that incredible. And it's hard to explain it. You're not a foodie, so you're looking at me like, whatever. But when you have good, high quality food, it's just a really nice experience. And it was so, I don't want to say it was veggie forward because you guys are hearing me say that I ate things like surf and turf and plant-based stuff. But if you wanted an insanely beautiful salad, they had like 5 different choices throughout the day. And so that's what I liked about it. I could get a lot of my greens and things that I personally like. It was just outstanding. So that surprised me probably more than anything else. And if I could afford to do the Haven all the time, I'd probably just say, okay, yeah, let's just convert over to being Haven cruisers. It's really that good. And you've heard me say that about the yacht club. I don't feel differently now, but with the food being slightly preferential for me on the Haven, there we have it.
Yeah, that's a problem with getting these experiences.
Right.
You don't want to go back.
I know, you get spoiled. But we do go back. We do not invest in these experiences typically as a family. Yeah, right. It might be the difference between 1 cruise per year and 4 for us. And I'm not going to make that choice.
Or not going.
Right.
Like a lot of times you think about Alaska and we say things like, you have to have a balcony when you go to Alaska.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice, but if you can't afford a balcony, you should still
go to Alaska. Yeah, I don't think people should withhold going to Alaska. I always tell people, if you're going to do Alaska without a balcony, try to get a room that's near a way to get outside fast. Because sometimes there will be announcements that are made where the captain will come on or someone on the bridge will say, hey, friends, just so you know, there's a pod of whales on the aft side. Get to an outer deck. So whether that means you're down by a promenade or up by a pool, maybe make it so you can get out there quickly. I would go to Alaska in an inside cabin again if it meant I could go versus not go.
Yeah, if you really want to make it exciting though, you need to have like a 2 to 5 year old kid, boy preferably. Yes, on the inside cabin.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
If you'd like to make it exciting.
If you'd like to
see what it looks like for a child to bounce literally between 4 beds.
Yeah.
We had like a bunk bed and 2 lowers. They make you keep the beds separated as lowers, and he would literally fly between the beds to burn energy. Oh, it was funny, but those days are gone. He's no longer that age. He's a teen now. He knows how to sit still when he needs to. All right, moving on. Oh, Schultz fam had one more question. Which location do you prefer, forward on MSC or aft on NCL? If given the choice, forward cabins tend to be very rocky for me. I've had my worst rough seas and mild seasickness experiences from being at the very front of a ship because there's a slamming feeling when you go up and down. Being on the back, you're going to rattle and rock and roll a little bit more aft. But for me, being forward is worse for motion. So
I think they're both good, but
yeah.
I guess if you pin me down, I'd say forward. But then sometimes with the forward cabin, you don't get out on your balcony because the winds are so strong.
Right.
I don't think that happens on the back.
It doesn't. But with that said, we have a cruise booked where we booked a balcony on the very front of the ship. And when I was on Aqua, I was on the very front of the ship. I think it's fun. It's unique. They're unique cabins. They're different, and so it's kind of fun. And if you're in Alaska and you have a calm day and you can get a balcony on the front of the ship and step out front, great. But when you're out in the Gulf and it's windy, you ain't going on that balcony.
Yeah, one thing that, I don't know, maybe this is just me, but one thing about the front, there are 2 things that are good on both, right? Mm-hmm. So on the front, pulling into port is awesome.
Yes.
In the back, pulling away from port is awesome.
Oh, that's a great point. I didn't think about that.
But like I said, that could be just me.
Yeah. Such a good point. All right. Our friend Sheldon Griffith said, do you think Norwegian is more of an adult cruise line than Princess? What do you think about that?
No.
Right. I would say the same thing. No, definitely not. I think Princess is way more adult and the demographic runs way older on Princess than it does on Norwegian.
I don't know if I'd go that far myself, but I definitely wouldn't say that Norwegian is,
more adult.
Yeah.
Right. No, I wouldn't either.
So that was easy.
Yeah, that was easy. Sorry, Sheldon. We didn't go into too much depth, but the short answer is no. Rick D. Gress said, question, budget cruise from Tampa. He's trying to make a choice here. Margaritaville Islander or Carnival Paradise? Okay, Rick D., I think that your answer on this one's very easy. I think, and some people weighed in on this already, definitely Margaritaville Islander versus Carnival Paradise. Islander is getting rave reviews. I've talked to several people who have been on it and they say they love it. And then you also asked me to choose from Jacksonville, Carnival Elation or Norwegian Gem. Definitely Norwegian Gem for me. And it's no shade on Carnival that I'm choosing those two. It's just that Paradise and Elation are not the ships that I would choose. They're super old and super small, and I would way rather be on Norwegian Gem and Margaritaville Islander. So there you go. That is my question. That is my answer to your question. Okay. Jen Yama1 said, for Norwegian Aqua, how are the activities for teens? Any activities that stood out for them? Late night? How is Entourage? Thanks. Enjoying your content. All right. Jen Yama, I have good news and bad news for you. The bad news is Entourage was totally closed on my sailing with my son. They had it blocked off. They had the kids clubs, the little kids clubs were open. But in my experience, he has done Norwegian before. And what happens with the age that these kids are at for Entourage, my son's 16, is they have fewer organized activities and the kids all meet up in the kids club and then they just go do their own thing almost always. So your teen is probably going to have an activity here and there with the club, but most of the time the kids bail, they leave and they go do stuff on their own. But otherwise, activities for teens just on the ship, Jen Yama, go watch my most recent reel on Instagram and Facebook where all I did was talk about teen and tween stuff to do. It is the ultimate ship for teens and tweens. Your kid will probably not be in Entourage because they're going to be at the arcade/game area, which is unbelievable. They're going to be at the stadium. The stadium is an outdoor area that has everything from ping pong to foosball and all kinds of different outdoor sports. They're going to be doing the basketball court. He or she is going to love that. And then of course you've got the drop slide, you've got the aqua slide coaster. I mean, it is made for teens, the ultimate teen ship. All right. Built by Blood said, I'm going on my first cruise ever in September. It'll be a 14-day cruise to Norway on board Holland America's Rotterdam. The youngest person in our party is 19. The oldest is 58. I'm getting kind of worried that the line I picked is too old for us. Will there be enough to do on the ship for a younger audience? Also, do you have any recommendations for what to do in Sandnes as we hit the port twice? Okay. I've not been to Sandnes. I'm so sorry. I would highly recommend that you book something. Probably an excursion with Holland America since it's your first time to that area. But to answer your question about activities, I think because you are going to Norway, this is very destination focused. You guys are going to be so busy in all of the ports that the young folks aren't going to be quite as concerned about being bored on the ship as if you were maybe having lots of sea days and going to like the Caribbean. With that said, up in the crow's nest on most of the Holland America ships, there is a wonderful thing that they have. They have this whole game area with puzzles and board games and things that you can pick up and play. They sometimes also have like a weird little, like a table that has a table game on it. Think of it almost like, what is that game you play, honey, where you throw stuff? Almost like bocce ball, but on a standing table where you play with your hands. I'm not sure I can't remember what it's called. What's the one you play with those little
shuffleboard?
It's kind of like shuffleboard, but you play with your hands. They had that on one of my recent Holland America cruises, but the crow's nest is going to be where you guys are going to hang out as a group and you're going to have a ton of fun. So try not to worry about it. Focus on just having meals together and the kids will adapt. 14-day cruise is long, but they will probably be okay. And they might even make some friends if it's over the summer. They may they may do that. But you're going to be seeing the most beautiful fjords and having the best time. All right. Sue L219 said, we're cruising Princess. We've been loyal to Royal for the first time next year and would love to hear any tips and advice you might have. Okay. So Sue, I think you're going to love Princess. You're going to feel spoiled and you're going to have things that you do not have on Royal Caribbean. For one, I don't know what ship you're going on, but you're going to have the medallion and the medallion technology. So you're going to have that wearable around your wrist that Royal Caribbean for a time had those bands that would allow you to pay for stuff and get in your room or whatever. But this is part of the culture of Princess is walking around with your medallion, buying accessories for it before you go or on the ship and just using it to pay for everything. But there's more. They also have the Ocean Now technology where you can have stuff delivered to your room. If you have Plus or Premier, this is going to be included for you, where you can have coffees and cocktails brought to your room. So imagine yourself getting ready for dinner and feeling like a martini, but not wanting to go to a bar. Well, if you have that Plus or Premier package, you just order it from your phone through the app and it comes to your room. It is absolutely outstanding. And in the morning, if you're a coffee or tea drinker, you can order fancy coffees and they're included. You just order them to your room and someone will show up in your room in very little time, in my experience, with those drinks. To me, that is a huge part of cruising Princess. You're going to notice that you actually, on Princess, probably have room to find a chair by the pool. Whereas with Royal Caribbean, unless you're in like a solarium or something, it might get crowded. There's lots of kids. There's going to be fewer kids. You might have fewer dining choices on Princess, but you might also find that you enjoy that. So embrace it, have some fun, get involved with your roll call beforehand on, on Facebook, on Cruise Critic. I think you're going to love it. All right. MBE1213 said, looking for suggestions on the best cruise line or ship for a senior solo female traveler. I prefer smaller ships and a balcony cabin. This will be my first solo cruise. So if you prefer smaller ships, I think you will probably benefit by trying like Holland America or one of Princess's older ships. If you want activities, lots of activities for solos, you should probably try Norwegian. Get yourself a balcony instead of a studio cabin, but then go to the events and things that they hold for solos. But that's what I would try. All right. HKY Nut 6 says, paying the upcharge for Aqua Class on Celebrity versus buying a regular class cabin and then purchasing the thermal pass through the planner. Just curious on your thoughts and if anyone has experience. They were on Apex in 2022, able to upgrade for a minimal bid to Aqua Class. They didn't make use of the restaurant, the Blue restaurant. So does the math, right, when you're looking at this? Well, if you're not going to take advantage of Blue, HKY Nut 6, it may not be so worth it. Maybe save the money and do that. So here's what Aqua Class does offer for anybody who's wondering. Aqua Class on Celebrity, they're a series of staterooms and they're kind of like a wellness experience. So they do have special mattresses. They have cashmere mattresses and pillow menus. And I think cashmere might be a brand. I don't know that they're really cashmere. They have their clean eating at Blue. And then you also have access to the thermal suite. You have a spa concierge. You have complimentary fitness passes and you have preferential rates on their spa packages. You also get some water in your room, healthy room service options, and a yoga mat. So yeah, if you're not interested in the restaurant, I think you're probably better off saving the money. And maybe if you want to spend the money on something, book a suite instead, or do some specialty dining and maybe skip Aqua Class. That's my thought. I've never tried Celebrity and I haven't tried Aqua Class, but that's probably what I would recommend. Richard Foderato says, question, if you were considering a 6-day trans-Pacific cruise from Hawaii to Alaska, would you pack for both or maybe buy along the way? Oh, Richard, I would definitely pack for both. I would plan to have those resort wear items for Hawaii and then a few things for Alaska. Yeah, you could pick up some outerwear while you're in Alaska. That's very easy to do, but I wouldn't buy the resort wear in Hawaii because that's harder to do, harder to fit, and very expensive.
Yeah, it's a fun idea, but you may not find what you want and you may not pay the price you want to pay.
Yes, exactly. You might be disappointed.
I love the idea.
Yeah, like should I just buy stuff? If you want to buy a sweatshirt and a raincoat in Alaska, you can. The problem is if you have to get off the ship and it's cold and you really need it and your first port doesn't have good shopping. If your first port isn't Skagway, which really, actually it's Ketchikan that has the best shopping. If it isn't Ketchikan and you have to wait to get a raincoat or whatever, that might kind of stink. So Yeah, that's a good question.
Fun idea.
Fun idea. Yeah. I'm just going to buy my stuff. That is fun. Jojo Bus said, been loving your videos on Norwegian Aqua. Wondering if you know what type of activities they do in Splash Academy, as I didn't really see any toys or anything in the videos. Also, let me know if you have any suggestions for group photos or nice spots for photo sessions on Aqua. We get married the first week of December in St. Thomas and have a group of 45 with us. How fun is that?
It's fun.
That is fun. All right, so let's answer Jojo Bus's first question, which is Splash Academy. Jojo Bus has a 5-year-old. And so for the preschoolers, what happens, Jojo Bus, is if they have toys for them, they may be there, but they don't leave them out for sanitary reasons. They might bring them out. They actually clean them in between sessions and things. So they may have some, but generally speaking, with the preschoolers, the little ones, they're going to do arts. They're going to do crafts. They're going to tell them stories and do little treasure hunts and things like that. They're probably not going to be doing like video gaming and all of that, but the arts and crafts are more going to be their toys than imagine like toddler baby toys. They're not going to be as much like that, but they will have a lot for them. And they're probably going to do little sports with them too, age appropriate stuff for the preschoolers. That should be so fun. Okay, yes. Oh, I love this. Group photos and nice spots for photos on Aqua. So they have this thing called the selfie statue on Aqua. You saw it on my Instagram feed in one of my pictures. It's like this big blue blob thing, and everybody goes out there and takes pictures. It has a hole in it. So it's fun to stick your head through the hole. It's also fun to put a camera through the hole and kind of play around with that. That's a beautiful place. Another great place for photos is Infinity Beach, where they have the little mini infinity pools that kind of go out. They have really nice furniture over there. And then what's that place called? The Terrace? I feel like it's called, like, one of the walkways there is called the Terrace, and it also has fancy furniture, and it would make for a nice backdrop. If you want to do some fun, interesting photos, go up to the Bullseye Bar, which overlooks Vibe Beach Club, and take pictures with Vibe behind you, because Vibe has some interesting archways that will provide some beautiful framing for your photos. You might even see if you can sneak into Vibe. And if you don't get passes, see if you can get in there and just take some photos.
If you're sneaking in,
yeah,
you should try Le Bistro too.
Oh my gosh, genius.
I was thinking they should have put that outside.
I know, the chandelier inside of Le Bistro should be outside of it. Yeah. Yeah.
So I have to back up for a minute though,
Sure.
and talk about the selfie statue, because you said stick your head through it. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure that you can stick.
Yeah.
You can look through it.
You can look through it, and you can kind of pop your head through it.
I don't want you trying to convince people to stick their head through, because it doesn't look that big. Is it big enough to put your head through?
Yeah, let me show you.
It is.
Yeah,
you did it.
There you go. You can just kind of pop your head through it.
So yeah,
let me see if I can find the picture of me popping my head through it.
I guess since I didn't get to go,
you shut up. It is such a great ship.
I don't know these things, but yeah, I guess you can stick your head through it.
I have video of me sticking my head through. I'm trying not to turn the audio on my phone right now since we are recording a podcast. But if I can find a little video of my experience. Oh yeah, kind of like this. You can kind of lean your body through. It is big.
I thought it was smaller. So yeah, it's huge. You could definitely stick your head
you know what I think you might be thinking of? Up at the golf course, there's an Alaskan bear that has a small hole that you could not put your head through.
Well, I think the bottom line is I didn't get to go.
Shut up.
That's the bottom line.
He's rubbing it in, guys. Look, I was so excited to take Junior back on, and now I feel like I have another third reason to go, because you've got to get on that ship. It is a blast. It really is.
Cool.
The arcade alone, and I'm not even. I usually cringe away from arcades, but I really love the arcade on that one. The bowling is fun. Everything is fun. All right, Jojo Bus, you're going to have a blast. If I think of any more photo ops, I'll let you know. But also, if you're going to Great Stirrup Key, there's a lot of photo ops on the island that you could take advantage of. That's a good one. Okay. Brishilda Trajko said, I think it's Brishilda Trajko said, greetings from Canada. Any recommendations for a cruise to Bermuda, best departure port in the US, and 5 versus 7 days? Yeah, for sure. Do a 7-day if you can. And Norwegian. I love Norwegian for Bermuda. I would do New York. I think it's an absolutely beautiful sail out. And I think that's the direction I would go with it. Yeah. Fun stuff. Bermuda. We had the worst luck with Bermuda though, because we went in the winter months. We went in fall, November. It was so cold out there in Bermuda. We couldn't really do anything. So hopefully you'll go when it's warmer.
But that sail out.
Honestly, of New York.
We may have to think about this, but has there ever been a more picturesque sail out? I can't think of one.
You're going past the Statue of Liberty.
And the sun was
You're going under
down.
the bridge. The sun's going down.
It was going down behind the Statue of Liberty.
Literally at that moment, it went down behind the statue.
Come on.
And it was so clear. And look, we don't even like to go to New York as tourists. We're not really into it. It's not our favorite city. It's kind of bustling. But man, that was a beautiful sail out.
It's kind of bustling.
It's just a little.
Kind of bustling.
Well, there's beautiful areas in New York.
I didn't say that, but it is beyond.
It's beyond.
Bustling. It was elbow to elbow.
In Times Square it was. Yeah. Well, and we also had a weird thing happen in New York. We had there was some kind of a security scare right by our hotel.
Yeah, it was just a protest.
But there were those kind of like bomb squad trucks everywhere, and it freaked our son out a little bit. It was just a weird night in that area.
It's a big city, baby.
A big city, baby. So anyway, have fun. I still think cruising out of New York is phenomenal, and I highly recommend you do Norwegian Cruise Line. And the newer the ship, the better.
Seriously though, can you think of a more beautiful sail out? I mean, the only thing I can think of is
freezing cold, and we still stayed outside to experience every moment of that sail out.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is San Francisco, and
the Golden Gate.
It's kind of like once you've done it, it's like
it's so beautiful.
You get to see Alcatraz, you get to go under the gate, and
and the fog kind of rolls in,
and everyone gets excited going under the bridge. But still going past the Statue of Liberty like that, crazy.
I think that the experience lasts longer in New York too. You're going a farther distance, whereas in San Francisco, it all happened super fast. You pull away from the dock, you're just a short little distance away from the Golden Gate. And once you're under the Golden Gate, there's not much to see. It's freezing cold. The fog usually is rolling in, and it kind of converges, and it's just nothing to see. And then you're out in those open waters. Whereas in New York, it kind of like the joy just lingered. The photo ops lingered.
In fact, you have it's kind of like 3 phases, because you have the skyline.
Oh yeah.
You're going past the skyline on the left. Right. Well,
and the fall colors and everything.
Yeah. And then you can see the Statue of Liberty.
The buildings and everything. And then the Statue of Liberty, and then the bridge.
Exactly. The bridge
is
the last
Verrazano Bridge, I think, was the last thing. That was just unbelievable. I felt a little weepy. I was like, okay, this is kind of emotional. You didn't, of course. I always feel that way.
No, I'm not going to feel weepy.
No, it's not.
I don't do that.
No, you don't. So that was our last question today. We're going to do this again next week. Now, if you're part of our Facebook group, not our page, but our group, get over there and leave a question for me. I have a call for questions. You still have time. We'll record another podcast probably by the weekend. So I want you guys to have those questions in there for me by May. I'd say probably by May 10th. Drop your questions in our Facebook group, and I'll answer them on the show.
Anything for people to look forward to on Amazon or YouTube or Instagram?
Yes. Thank you very much for bringing that up. You know what is amazing that just got released today is our food video from Norwegian Aqua, but it's on the Norwegian Cruise Line channel. If you guys would go leave a comment, I'd like to see if we could get 100 comments just from this podcast. If you'd be willing to go to the Norwegian Cruise Line YouTube channel and say, Sherry sent me here from the podcast, leave a comment on the Norwegian Aqua food video. It is the most recent one as of today. That'll change on Norwegian Cruise Line's channel. That'd be great. Amazon Live, we always have something great going on over there. So if you're not already following us, be sure to do that. And I think that's it for now.
Cool.
Awesome, friends. Appreciate your questions. You guys are the best. Until next time, see you on the high seas. Thanks for listening to Cruise Tips TV Unplugged. If you like our show and want to know more, check us out at CruiseTipsTV.com. You can also find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram by searching Cruise Tips TV. We'd love if you'd leave us a review wherever you're listening to this podcast, subscribe to the show, and tune in next week. Until next time, we'll see you on the high seas.